Supreme Magus, Chapter 30, True Magic and Fake Magic, Part 2. When they finished comparing notes about Solo's explanation for true magic, it was already late. Lid had to rush to get out of the woods before it became too dark. He wasn't afraid of the nighttime predators. His mother, Elena, though, was another story. If I come back too late, I'll get grounded for weeks. Darn it all, I hate curfew so much. He did not want to come back home empty-handed, so he took out of the pocket dimension a couple of fat blinkers he had saved for moments like this. The next day, Nana informed Lid that the Count had agreed to help and that some of his best books were on their way. Lid was forced to pretend being still engrossed in Nana's history book. It was too big to be finished in one go. He spent the day abridging all the Tier 1 spells on his grimoire, keeping only the name, hand signs, and pronunciation instruction and a short description for each spell. I don't need to waste precious pages on this crap. I can fake out the hand signs by moving my hands fast, but I still need to remember each new magic word when I pretend to use fake magic. Also, if Nana wants to put me to test, I need to show her my proficiency. Sigh. All this brainless memorizing will drive me crazy. The silver lining is that by learning this stuff, I can predict an enemy spell and counter it if necessary. More than once, Lid found himself wishing Solus could move his body at will. She had a much better memory and it would save him a lot of time and effort. The only spell Lid was really eager to try was the air magic floating body. With this incantation, one could make float in midair anything or anyone weighing less than 100 kilograms. It had many uses, like breaking a free fall, moving a severely injured patient without bumps, or moving without leaving traces, and making noises while hunting or scouting. This was something that Lid had attempted many times on his own, but with no success. He could easily make others float with spirit magic, but not himself. It was really hard balancing his whole body while focusing on the spell. The same could be said about using air magic instead of spirit magic. A minor mistake would make him float upside down or make him spin like in a washing machine. Lid never managed to float properly, let alone moving. If Solus is right and fake magic is a training course, I can use this floating body to learn how to float for good. Then the most natural step is evolving it into a fight spell. I can't wait to soar through the skies like my childhood heroes. Right after lunch, Lid went back into the woods and started practicing. Floating body's magic word was Brezarilak, so he had no problems with the pronunciation. The hand signs instead were quite complicated. Having learned from his mistakes, Lid first made sure he got the magic word right before moving to the hand signs. He took it slow and easy. He didn't need to learn how fast to cast it, only to learn from the spell how to distribute the energy. After only a few tries, Lid managed to cast the floating body properly. It was an odd feeling, much different from what he had expected. To float, it did not require a single strong updraft, but hundreds of them at the same time, each one pushing upwards with the same force to keep the balance in check. This is much worse than I have anticipated. No wonder I always failed in the past. Now, according to the book, floating body makes me weightless, standing in place. To move, I need either external support or air magic. Lid started to generate weak winds, moving around like a toy drone. This feels great. This spell has countless application. I wonder why it's just a tier 1 despite being so elaborate. Because it lasts only 1 minute. Solus reminded him while it was already falling to the ground. After experimenting with the floating body a few times, Lid used his own mana flow to replicate the spell. Soon, it became apparent that he wouldn't be able to do it in a single afternoon. True magic, after all, was really more difficult than its fake counterpart. Angry and frustrated, Lid started grumbling non-stop. It's all so annoying, having to learn 2 kinds of magic for every damn spell. I'm telling you, Solus, I have seriously considered using floating body instead. But if I'm stupid enough to do so, then I will be forced to learn all its upper tier versions, and who knows at what step lies actual flight. This way instead, once I get solid foundations, everything else should come easy. Or, at least I hope so. Lid spent all day and night practicing his new spell, levitation. But when morning came, he had yet to succeed. The following day, a small crate of books was delivered to Nana's house, and she promptly handed it to Lid. If they were mine, I would never allow you to bring them out of my house. But the Count explicitly told me you are free to bring them home as you see fit. Lark is a very generous man. Don't abuse his trust. At first, Lid was really pissed off. He had completely forgot about his plea for help. And now he was flooded with useless books that he had to pretend to read. After 2 whole days as shut in, his body was craving for some action. But then he noticed that there weren't that many history books. Most of them were biographies and autobiographies of past and present prominent mages, archmages and magi. He finally had at hand the information he needed about how much talent he could reveal safely. Lid could finally see a light at the end of one of the many tunnels he was stuck in. So far, his apprenticeship had only added more problems to his life. Getting lucky for once made him feel really good. He took note in his grimoire of all the feats his role models accomplished and at what age they managed to do it. Then it came the most serious part, deciding how far to push his act. I'm of a humble origins and with no backer. Mimicking a Magus is like counting debt. If even revealing less talent than Nana brought a noble to try to kill me, showing so much skill would put me on the hit list of all the major families. Agreed, Solus chimed in. The best choice is to keep being below Nana's talent. If Count Lark starts protecting you, you can ramp up to her level. A male match of that skill would definitely be noteworthy. From then, it's better to adjust your power talent based on how things develop. My thoughts exactly, Lid nodded. During the following weeks, while at Nana's house, Lid and Solus split the task at hand. Lid crammed all the tier 1 spells while Solus would read the Count's books and take note of every relevant detail. Lid gave her control over both spirit and water magic, making her possible to flip books and write on appendings on the grimoire. During the afternoon instead, they would try to make levitation work. Little by little they were working out all the problems, sometimes even improving floating bodies' foundation. Lid completed levitation after 1 month of hard work, and by that time he had also already mastered all the Tier 1 spells. But he was forced to wait. According to the Count's book, that was a feat worthy of a future archmage. So he had to wait for another half a month before revealing to Nana the fruits of his endeavors. She was truly impressed by Lid's skill and determination. Nana had told him that back then, in the days, she had needed less than a month to memorize all the books, and despite Lid being of a lesser talent, he had managed to accomplish the same result with just 2 weeks of delay. Nana had expected that it would take him no less than 2 whole months. Nana offered him to help her during busy hours, and Lid gladly accepted. Until completing the levitation, he had not hunted for over a month. Not only the reserve of the game he kept in the pocket dimension was almost depleted, but that huge break had also costed him a lot of money. Lid needed to make up for the lost time. Officially, he only knew 2 Tier 1 light spells, Venire Ratu, the illness injury detecting spell, and Venire Dan, a basic healing spell capable to treat coughs, light colds, and not too deep cuts. Hence, most of the times he would only get the diagnosis fee since it would be Nana treating the patients. He could only get to heal minor injury. Yet, profits weren't that bad. Nana's business had deep roots. People from all the neighboring villages would come to seek her aid. By spending more time in the front office, they discovered that Nana was so much more than a healer for the people of Lutia. She was also their protector and the strongest law enforcer. Simply by living there, most bandits would avoid the village, and those who were brave enough to attack would quickly meet their maker before doing any real damage. Nana was also the shield for all the local merchants and population. No foreigner merchant, young master, or young mistress could bully the people of Lutia without incurring her wrath. Sometimes she would be called even to put an end to a drunken brawl. Lid found hard to believe she had such disposition towards the people she served, always standing ready to intervene whenever was necessary. One day, after Nana taught a lesson to a young noble and his bodyguards, believing that he could forcibly take any maiden that suited his taste, Lid decided to find out the truth. The old hag had already proven that she cared about money more than everything. Lid had fallen for her kind act more than once, so he wanted to know what her real angle was. Being rude to his mentor was definitely a bad idea, so he went with a subtler approach. Master, I really don't know how to express my admiration for you. Taking care of the safety of the village, basically all by yourself, and asking nothing in return. It's really impressive of you. Nana laughed out loud, sounding ominous like the plumber back on Earth that once Lid had been forced to call during a national holiday. You really are hilarious, kid. Sometimes you are so wise, I almost forget you are just 6 years old. But whenever you come out with this nonsense, you really look like a naive child. Of course I get something in return. Have you ever wondered why my treatments are so expensive?